You put me beside Swami. Om Sri Sai Ram. It's been my experience that whenever Swami takes me to whichever place, he teaches me a few lessons. I think one of the first lessons, in fact, I was telling Arvind Bhai in the car when we were driving here. We have chosen a particularly chilly week to come to London. But I think the first lesson which Swami has taught me was the warmth and the love shown by Sai brothers and sisters is more than adequate to compensate for the chilly weather outside. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart, not just to bring to the gallery, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I'm just trying to think as to what are the things which I need to say, and I was asking for Brother Vijay as to what he expects me to speak. He told me a few things, so I'd like to place in front of you today evening a few of the thoughts which are uppermost in my mind. I think we are, in 2011, Swami took Mahasamadhi. And naturally, with the form amidst us and without the form amidst us makes a world of difference. One of the things uppermost in the minds of all the devotees wherever one goes is, how is Prashanthi Nilayam doing? Are the people coming there? Are the activities the same? Is there any difference? What exactly is happening? There's a tremendous amount of anxiety and sort of eagerness to know as to what exactly is happening in Prashanthi Nilayam. I think I'll try and spend a few minutes as to what exactly are the things which are happening in Prashanthi Nilayam at the moment. I'm sorry, being an Indian, I speak very fast and I realize I need to speak a little slow. So one of you must say like this so that I slow down my pace. First and foremost, nothing has changed in Prashanthi Nilayam. Instead of Bhagavan, you have the Samadhi of Bhagavan. All the activities, daily activities starting from Suprabhatam right till the evening bhajans are on an as-is, where-is basis. They go on. There is no change in that at all. In fact, I was just thinking as Brother Vijay was speaking, what Swami wanted us by doing this act of Mahasamadhi is, in Ganesh Puja, in Vinayak Chauthi, when we do that Ganesh Puja, after the puja is over, after Vinayak Chaturthi day, depending upon the family custom in which the idol of Ganapati is placed, either on the first day or the third day or the fifth day or the ninth day, Nimajjanam takes place. That is, the idol is taken to the nearest water source and dissolved in it. Swami told in many of his speeches that that particular act is symbolic of the fact that the Lord wants you to go from being with the form to a formless state. The idea is He's making you ready to actually accept a situation where the deity or the Lord is not physically there in the form, but He's in a formless state. I believe that what Swami has done through this Mahasamadhi is to take us from a stage where we were worshipping Him, touching Him, and actually praying to Him in a physical level. He wants us to move, graduate in our spiritual path from the formful to the formless. So therefore, in that context, nothing has changed. Perhaps if I were to tell out of my own personal experience, Swami's activities, Swami's leelas, Swami's miracles have increased all over the world. I know it for a fact, because as a first-hand, in the first hand, nobody need tell me. I have been going, I go all over the place, either professionally or personally. And so I know it for a fact that Swami's activities or Swami's leelas or miracles are only increasing, not sort of on the wane. That's the first thing. Coming to the Prashanthi Nilayam activities, apart from the fact that all the activities are going on, daily activities on as is various basis. The other things which are happening in Prashanthi Nilayam is, one is these Patti Yatras. The from several districts, each of the district of each of the state, they come for 2 days, 3 days Patyatra. Those things are going on as usual. Apart from that, we have started the Nitya Anna Seva. One of the new activities which we have started is Nitya Anna Seva. Nitya means perpetual. Anna Seva means we are actually doing, whoever are the devotees coming there, like in Tirupati or in Shirdi, whoever are the devotees who are coming for Swami's darshan in the Sai Kulwant hall are served Swami's prasadam as a wholesome South Indian meal. It is a complete course in itself. It is not as if you give 1 or 2 items, but it's a complete wholesome South Indian meal which is being served. It was inaugurated on July 9th, by our Union Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad. That has happened. Subsequently, the Vice President of India came recently, Venkaiah Naidu, and he has opened the Archives building on top, just behind Prashant Nilayam, adjacent to the university complex. So that has been opened. And just for your information, that Archives Center is basically tasked with the task of actually preserving all the things which belong to Bhagwan or Bhagwan's thing. The letters which he has written, the very old photographs, the various other things Swami has done through this thing, all of them are being preserved in a state-of-the-art manner. That the Vice President of India, Mr. M. Venkaiah Naidu, came and inaugurated it some time back. Apart from this, there is an advanced research center which has been started in the university. Though it is not formally inaugurated, I was inaugurated to a scientist brother here. In fact, state-of-the-art research and development is taking place. Though it is not formally inaugurated, I know it because Tata Trust is collaborating with it for some of the projects, and they are doing very advanced research. And I am told, and I know it for a fact that because I have visited that place along with the other trustees, that particular research center is state-of-the-art. Only 4 or 5 other such centers are there in India. So therefore, these are the new activities which are taking place. Apart from that, as you know, the Satsang Central Trust and the other activities are actually going, both the hospitals, either in Whitefield or in Prashant Nilayam, the water projects, and whatever Swami has started, they are just going the way in which they are. And as I told you, these 3 things have been added recently. One is the Nityana Seva, where food is being served to all the devotees who come, a wholesome South Indian meal. The Archive Center has started, and the third one is the Research Center. So these are the things. So I think that should give a reasonably good idea as to what are the activities which are happening. Now, one of the things which is asked of me by the devotees outside is, sir, how is the footfalls? What is the number of devotees coming? The number of devotees may be slightly less, but there is a fundamental difference between the people coming now and earlier. I find that 60 to 70% of the people who are coming to Prashanti nowadays are new people. As a part of Patyatra or on an individual basis, when I interact, when I am in Prashanti, I find that quite a number of people who are coming are absolutely new people who do not know much about Bhagavan. So this is a change, which earlier I don't think it was, that the percentage was there, but I don't think it was as high as it is at the moment. So that is one thing. Another thing is, when Swami was there, Swami will give me Pada Namaskar, or he will speak to me, or I have to give a wedding card, or speak about organization. People used to stay for a week, 10 days till such time as they fancied their chances with Bhagavan. But now, with Swami not being there, mornings people come, they have the Samadhi Darshan, and then perhaps go around Prashant Nilayam, and then go off in the evening or the next day. In other words, the floating population is the rule of the day. People are coming, the footfalls may not be as much, but the number of people who come are going by the day. But look, in every day there is a churn of people coming and going, of which most of them are new people. So this is one of the features which is happening. I think this should suffice for me to tell you as to what are the activities happening in Prashanti Nilayam. One of the things I thought I should share with you this evening is What is it that Swami has left us? What is the legacy that Swami has left us, as a result of which we are all here in the Sai Center here in Manchester? I think it is rather coincidental. This is my thought. I don't know how many of you know, those of you who are living in Manchester. Manchester is the first industrial city in the world. It is the first industrial city in the world, and it is the seat of the first industrial revolution. In fact, in the 19th, 20th and 19th century, 1800s and all, the first industrial revolution took place via the textile mills around this thing. So I think it is rather symbolic that in a place like Manchester, which is the which has been the seat of industrial revolution, we are discussing about Sai revolution. Mind you, when I say Sai revolution, I'll try and paint before you a picture as I go through that what is happening in this world is nothing short of a Sai revolution. If some of you would have read the books of John Naisbitt as to what are the mega trends, he's a futurologist of repute, as to what is one of the most important mega trends in this world today. One is return to spirituality, return to nature. People are actually fed up of materialism and they are moving towards spiritualism. Another is returning to nature. All the artificiality, materiality is going and people are moving towards closer to nature. So, in fact, if I were to just think about it, Albert Schweitzer is a 1952 Nobel Peace Prize winner. Here, if you read his Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech, he spoke a profound thing. The title of his speech was The Problem of Peace. The Problem of Peace. It is very symbolic of what is happening today. And what Swami has said actually takes care of that. That's why I'm trying to tell about that. Albert Schweitzer has said, mind you, by the time, this was in 1952, he got the Nobel Prize. In his Peace Prize acceptance, he said, man has become superhuman in his external capabilities. In other words, he conquered space through the combustion engine, rockets, and earlier there were only destructions of war. Earlier used to take place through bows and arrows. He has developed the atom bomb. So he says that man has become superhuman in his external capabilities. But he says that man who has become a superhuman in his external capabilities, alas, he suffers from a fatal flaw. He has become subhuman, nay, inhuman in his internal capacity to control that thing. When you have an instrument which is very, very powerful, you need to be as much powerful internally to be able to control it. In other words, in terms of capability, external capability, man is here. In terms of internal capacity is here. So the difference between this is the problem of peace. And he says that is the reason why there is so much of problem and turmoil. In much the same way, industrial revolution, one of the things which we have done is, if you read the history of industrial revolution, the emphasis on economics and economic welfare and economic well-being is paramount. Spirituality, spiritual development has been completely neglected. So therefore, today, notwithstanding the fact that you and I have actually achieved so many things in an economic sense, in a worldly sense, yet we are left with a vacuum inside. In our heart of hearts, we feel there is something at the end of the day which is not fulfilling. That part which fulfills your heart, which actually takes care of your inner yearning for a higher force, for a higher thing, which I will try and dilate towards the later part of my talk, is what Swami has been talking about. When he says spirituality is that it's an inward journey which takes care and tells you what you are really, so that you fulfill the task for which you have come. Just to give you a small example, Arvind Bhai he picked me up from my place in Warrington, and he was driving, and then one of the points which he mentioned to me was, he volunteers in a hospital here. He goes and works there whenever Saturdays, Sundays, and now after retirement he is going there. He had said that his own experience, and it's been my experience too. Whenever he does that service, the satisfaction which he feels that day is phenomenal. See, there is a fundamental difference. I used to work in Reserve Bank. 5 days a week, it's a labor of commerce, it's a labor of wages. Saturday, Sunday, I used to go to Dharmakshetra, it's a labor of love. If somebody were to ask me the same question, sir, which is more satisfying, the 5 days labor of commerce or 2 days labor of love? Definitely this 2 days labor of love gives you a great satisfaction. That is what we try to achieve in spirituality, in a journey with you. I would like to spend a few minutes on as to what exactly is the message of Swami. What was it that Swami told us? He said, my life is my message. And he said, once I leave this world in a physical sense, your life should be my messages. First he said, my life is my message. Second he said, your life should be my message. What is the message which Swami has left with us? Let us spend a few minutes to understand what it is. Perhaps Swami's message at an individual level. One is, as an individual, what is his message? At a personality level, what is his message? At a social level, what is his message? At a national level, what is his message? At an international level, what is his message? If we try to analyze, I'll try and think aloud so that I place before you some of the facts which I have actually undergone with Bhagavan. First, at the very individual personality, individual personal traits level, he is an epitome. He is an epitome of perfect habits which a person should pursue. You may think it's mundane, but I think it's profound. First and foremost, 87 years he worked without any break. I worked for 5 days in a reserve bank. I make so much fatigue Saturday, Sunday, I need to take my time off. 87 years of his life, he never had a holiday. Saturday, Sunday, for you and me it's a holiday. For Bhagwan, it was double the work. I can tell you with authority because I was with Bhagwan. Spent 6 years physically with him and practically seen him for nearly 50 years. On Saturday, Sunday, his workload used to be double. So what is his message? You have to do whatever is your allotted duty in a fashion which is continuous without any sort of an issue. So that is at a personal level. Second thing, have you seen Bhagwan? All of us have taken Pal Namaskar. Have you ever seen, though you may think it is mundane, I am trying to put in front of you so that you derive from him what are the messages which we need to derive. He was early morning, used to get up, have a head bath, 4:30, we all used to be there, take a head bath and be ready by 6:30 to have an audience with the devotees, to whatever is the work. Next, you cannot fault him insofar as his personal habits are concerned. His food was very frugal. Not for him all your lavish eating and all that. Only one thing which we cannot emulate what he did was he ate so very little. If you and I eat so little, we won't be able to get up the next day. But that you should not emulate. But the fact of the matter, I am trying to tell you, his habits were very simple. All of us have taken Pal Namaskar. Have you at any point of time seen Swami's nails? Do you remember? No? He used to I used to be there. He used to personally manicure. Why I am telling you this? In this modern world, when Swami said, my life is my message, every aspect of Swami's life, you will be wonderstruck that he has given you an example which is so worthy of emulation. You cannot point a finger. No, that is insofar as the individual habits. As I told you, he is an epitome of personal hygiene and immaculate habits. I am a witness for it, at the very individual level, at the personality level. Have you ever seen Swami angry? No? Yes or no? No. So never get angry for a lesson. Second, have you ever seen Swami egoistic? No. If Lord himself, if Swami himself has not been egoistic, where is the question of you and me being egoistic, sir? I don't understand. When Lord himself, I have spent with Swami so many years. Now Swami never said, I am the master, you fellow, you do this, but never ever. So, but here, I may be in some position in Reserve Bank or in my respective organ. I appropriate for myself in a moment of weakness perhaps to boss over the other person. So there absolutely, He was never egoistic. He was never angry. And at the societal level, what is it that he has done to us? He has given us 2 hospitals where there is no cash box, there is no cash counter. What is it that he has told? If at all anybody wants to do service, this is the way to do service. It is a matter of misfortune that none of the people who are resourceful enough have actually picked up the gauntlet and set up similar hospitals. Fact of the matter is, Swami showed the way. Water projects. It's a matter of recorded history, both by the UN and other organizations, as also the government of India, that what they could not do, Swami has accomplished. At no point of time he has asked for any particular thing. So these are the things which at the social level which he has done in a context of a society. At the national and international level, people may think, one of the things, misnomers about Swami I heard from some of the devotees who, no, Sai Baba, he lived a very lavish life. For your information, he lived in a 10 by 10 room. His room, living room, was the room up on top of the interview room in Prashant Nilayam. Prashant, the interview room is 10 by 10. Swami lived only in that 10 by 10 room. And he ruled the world. Today, what is the net effect of what? The way in which the Lord has done? Today, our organization is the biggest non-governmental organization in the world. I have a few friends in the United Nations. I always tell them, Dekho bhai, we do not wish to advertise, we don't advertise. But ours is the biggest NGO. Wherever you go, you say Sai Ram, you have brothers and sisters in more than 200 countries. What is it that Swami has said? Simple living, high thinking. He was the epitome of that. Can you imagine? Actually, many people, because of the people, Swami was surrounded by people of great resources in Prashant Nilayam or otherwise. So people used to look at the devotees and say, the devotees are very rich, therefore Swami also is living in a very lavish lifestyle. Never, ever. The limited point I'm trying to bring to bear is the fact that Swami was the epitome of simple living, high thinking. Whatever Swami has said, he has actually showed practically. And another subtle thing which I think we should realize, if I was actually ill-treated in a house, if I was ill-treated in my locality, if I was ill-treated in my hometown, I will not only leave the hometown, perhaps I will try and see that I move out of the country. Please read Satyam Shivam Sundaram. The way in which Swami was actually harassed during his childhood, saying that Swami was actually some spirit has actually come into him, he is behaving peculiarly, his head was tonsured, he was actually tortured like no ends up. If anything of similar sort would happen to you and me, my normal human reaction will be not only to move out of Puttaparthi, but move out of the country itself. But here was Bhagavan, notwithstanding all these things, he stayed in Prashant for the sake, because he gave a word to his mother. He stayed there and carried on his mission. Today, Prashant Nilayam, if you Google out, Prashant Nilayam has an identity of its own. It is there on the world map. So the point I'm trying to bring to bear is that Swami lived every aspect of his life in the way in which he wanted it to be treated as an ideal. All along he has been telling us that you should lead your life in a manner which is ideal, which shows the path for the others. So what does Swami expect? When he says, I am always giving, I am always forgiving. I am sure you and me, and I can tell of me also and all the students at that particular point of time, if Swami would have really been angry with us for for whatever our faults, none of us would have been spending so much time with Bhagavan. He was all forgiving. This is another lesson. If somebody were to wrong you, you should not feel sort of flustered by it, but you should have the heart and be patient and ensure that the gentleman is not unnecessarily sort of hurt. So therefore, the point I'm trying to bring to bear is, when Swami says, my life is my message, here every aspect of his life, at the personal level, at the personality level, at the individual level, at the social level, at the national level, at the international level, all the world leaders used to come and sit at his feet and he has shown the world what exactly it is. Now, coming to the other things which Swami has told us, one of the most important things in an organization like this is we may come and congregate, do bhajans, do seva, service activity. But the foundation for this is our individual sadhana. At our individual level, whatever is a sadhana which we have to do, we need to really, that is a foundation of Sai activities. There you may ask me a question, sir, how is it that it has to be done? The first and foremost thing which Swami said is, if you are a Sai devotee, first thing is, never ever think that Swami is not there in the physical form. He is always there in your heart as your own consciousness. The analogy given in spirituality is like this. You take a big, huge white sheet of paper and you take a pin and put protrusions. That particular paper, put protrusions. All that protrusions, each protrusion is an individual, is entire nature. But the entire thing is a sea of divinity. It is nothing but Satchidananda, what Swami has said. So therefore, all of us are nothing but same. We are the same divine consciousness, perhaps encapsulated in a physical form. For that, in case anybody has any doubt, please read Ramana Maharshi's book, Nan Yar, Who Am I? He clearly states, we are definitely not the physical body. If we are the physical body, when suppose I were to die, people will call my name and go on crying, saying as to why so-and-so has left me. So the limited point is that we are not the body. For that, what Swami has said is, every day, at least on a few occasions, you should actually, in your own being, you should say, I am not the body. I am not the body. I am the Atma. I am the Atma. And for that, he had told us, in public speeches he told, privately in private interviews he told. 2-3 things he told. Deho Devalaya Prokto Jiva Deva Sanatana. Body is the temple. Deho Devalaya. Body is the temple. Deho Devalaya Prokto Jiva Deva Sanatana. Body is the temple where the eternal being is living. So therefore, that eternal being is God himself. Then there is another poem which I always used to recite. Deham Panchabodhikam. Dehamu Kolakatappadepuru. Dehi Niramayundu. Ganitimpaga Dehi Devadevan. Body is made of 5 elements. The body which is comprised of these 5 elements will fall off at any day. Remember only one thing. The one who is indweller, he is the Sanatana Sarade, he is the divine principle, and that is Swami. When you bring this sort of an orientation to our sadhana day in and day out, the question of we feeling separate from Bhagavan doesn't arise. Just now, Sister Vasanti Amma, am I right? Yeah. And their family, they were telling that they had undergone a traumatized accident wherein, in fact, their entire vehicle was actually blown to smithereens and they were sitting on the road. Who is it that has saved them? People who do not know may say it is a matter of luck. But that matter of luck is nothing but a Swami's grace. And one more thing is, one of the outstanding features of Swami's avatar road is, in Krishna avatar there was only one Bhagavatam. In Krishna avatar there was only one Bhagavatam. But in Satyasai avatar there are as many Bhagavatams as there are devotees. In Swami actually punned Bhagavatam as Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam. If you read Bhagavatam, or if you actually sort of think about Bhagavatam, in Telugu Bhagavatam means we will, हम लोग सुधर जाएंगे. अगर भागवतम के साथ भागवतम पारायण करें तो हम लोग सुधर जाएंगे. We get better and better. So when we think of Swami, when we think of his leelas, when we think of his activities, it is basically a Bhagavatam. So what we are today engaged in as Satsang is nothing but Sai Bhagavatam. So we are going to get better and better as you listen to Swami. Now let me dwell upon a couple of my own experiences and the experiences of a few of our very close devotees, just to bring home the point that Swami is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Where will I start? There are so many experiences. Where does one start? Let me start with my own example. Those who know Telugu will be able to enjoy it very nicely, very well. The fact, every experience with Bhagavan proves the point that he is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. So there is a saying in English, truth is strange, stranger than fiction. The fact of the matter is, matters relating to Swami are fiction. In fact, fiction you can believe, but Swami is this thing, you just cannot believe unless you experience. Let me tell you a couple of them placed in front of you. I was studying BCom second year. I used to look after the Gokulam agro and dairy those days in my student days. This is in Vrindavan. Mind you, the present Vrindavan, Trai Vrindavan is different from the Vrindavan building which was there. That was known as Mohan Palace, the old Vrindavan. In old Vrindavan, there used to be a wooden staircase on the back side of Swami's building. And we used to stand there as students so that Swami, whenever he is going for the dining place, we could actually see him. That day, previous 2 days, I had high temperature. I was not feeling well. I was standing at the foot of that staircase. Swami opened the door, and only his face was kept out. His body was not there. Then I was the only fellow standing there. Swami said in Telugu, like this. He said, what? Because I was having a shawl. Normally I don't wear a shawl because I was feeling chilly that day because of my temperature. Swami, he looked at me in a queerish way and he said, what? I said, Swami, in Telugu I told him, Swami, ontlo bagaledu. Ontlo bagaledu in Telugu means, ontlo means I am not feeling bodily well. That is what I told him. In Telugu, Swami told me, he said, as if he has not heard. Intlo bagaleda, he said. Intlo means, intlo bagaleda, that means something is wrong in your house, he asked me. I told him, Swami, I am not feeling well bodily. He said, something is wrong with your house? In your house? He told. See, yours is a monkey mind. What do I think? I think, what is this? Swami has not heard me. And then I was just, monkey mind. Immediately the thought came to me, hey, Swami has not heard me. What is this? Then at that point, as the thought subsided, somebody patted me on the back and said, Bhaskar, your parents have come. Normally my parents during that time never used to come. If at all they ever came to Vrindavan, they used to give me a phone call and then they used to come. Suddenly they came without giving a phone call, without any advance notice, which was rather strange. Then I went out, I met my parents. You know why my parents came? Because my father's sister died in very mysterious circumstances in our house in Guntur. So Swami was alluding to that. When I said Untlo bagaledu, he said Intlo bagaledu. See, he knows. So my parents told me because of this. Then Swami went out. He spoke to my parents. Then he was telling parents, I was standing at a slum distance. That's what I was telling Bhaskar. He didn't understand. He said. You understand the sequence? I said Untlo bagaledu. He said Intlo bagaledu. My monkey mind thought that Swami has not heard what I have said. But Swami is on a different plane altogether. He was actually alluding to the fact that my aunt has died and parents have come to just seek solace at his lotus feet. And it was the point I'm trying to bring to bear is, this is what Swami is for. I can tell you any number of examples like this. But let me tell you one more example of Swami's Leela. I was one day going from my hostel room to Vrindavan, to the Gokulam inside in Vrindavan. If you have seen, some of you have seen Vrindavan, there is a hostel building right in front. Inside there is one gate, and then you enter the Trai Vrindavan. In the olden days also, that compound wall and the gate was there. Only thing is, instead of the present Trai building, there used to be a Mohan Palace, old this thing. And Gokulam was behind that particular building. So I walked down from my room. My room was in the first floor. As a student, second year student, sometime around 3:30, 3:45. I walked down. In the normal way, I just went to... Normally there used to be Principal Narendra's room. I crossed that room. Many people had the habit of actually crossing Swami's Rangoli in the main gate and open the main gate and go. I never, as a matter of my own practice, I never used to walk that way. There used to be a side wicket gate. I used to go by that wicket gate, jump the Rangoli and go and pass. I didn't know Swami was... that is the time when Swami normally is in the dining hall. In the dining hall, Swami was there. And as soon as I reached Gokulam, some boy came and said, "Sir, Swami is calling you." So I ran up. In the dining hall, I ran up. That time, if I remember right, Dr. Bhagavantam, Mrs. Ratanlal, Radha Krishna, Ram Raman. I think these 4 people were there. Swami was sitting in the chair. I came up, and there used to be a few steps, 4 steps to reach Swami's dining hall. So I climbed up, and in front of that door only Swami was sitting in that chair. And he was looking at me as I was coming up. He was looking very lovingly at me. As soon as I came to, in Swami's presence, I stood there in front of him. He said, "Hello, Stira." He said, "How did you come?" Suddenly out of the blue, "How did you come?" I said, "Swami, I came to Gokulam, somebody came and called me, then Swami, it seems you called me, that's why I came." "Alakadra, that is not the way. How did you come from the hostel?" I said, "Swami, I came walking." "Alakadra, ela vacho cheppu." No, tell me graphically how you have come. This was news to me. I came just in the normal way. And then I saw the faces of the people around Swami. Then I knew that something has happened concerning me, which I do not know. So Swami is asking, "Ala vacho chepura, alakadra, you please tell as to how you have come from hostel." Then I told Swami, I came out of the room. I come to the stairs, came to the corridor, walked down the steps. There's a cement walkway by the side of the hostel. I walked there, crossed Principal's room, and then crossed the wicket gate. Then Swami stopped. "Chusha, remember, he was telling the people who were around him, "Chusha, I have told you now that Bhaskar never comes by the main door. Main gate. He actually comes by the wicket gate, jumps the Rangoli. All of you people actually walk through the main gate." Then I knew there was something, confirmation that something concerning me was happening. Then I said, "Swami, I just crossed the Rangoli, jumped the Rangoli, went behind Ashoka trees, walked past Swami's this thing. We had 3 mango trees those days. Walked there, and by the time I reached Gokulam, somebody came. It seems what was happening was, just before I started from the hostel, there was some discussion about Swami's omnipresence. During that time, few months before that, there was an actual incident which was quoted in Sanatan Saradi, where Swami actually saved an elderly couple in a train from a fire. He came as an electrician because of the fire, and he saved. And that thing was being discussed. Then something about Swami's omnipresence came for discussion. Then Swami said, "Meer anukuntarappa Swami ikkada కూర్చున్నాను. You think that Swami is sitting in this chair here? For instance, just now Bhaskar has started from the hostel. He opened the door. He gave a running commentary as I was coming, that he just came down from the first floor to the ground floor. He is walking by the cement walkway. He passed Narendra's room. He is coming by the wicket gate, not like in the main gate like you fellows, like that he told." And then when I reached, this is the external story. This is the external story to say that Swami is omnipresent. But there is something else which has happened with me 6 months before. For the first time in my life, Swami wrote to me a letter 6 months before that. In that letter, he wrote a particular thing to be followed by me as a part of my personal sadhana. And being a youngster, and to the extent, whatever is possible, to the extent possible, I have been following that absolutely to the T. I was following that particular whatever Swami has written to me. And I was following that. I knew it for a fact that I was following whatever Swami wanted me to the T. So everything is over. Then he said, he gave me some tiffin. He said, eat. He ate it. Then Swami was coming out of the dining hall. And I was standing just by the side. Nobody was there. All the other people were either sitting or standing behind. So Swami, while going ahead, see, Swami is a master in communication. Formal or informal. In fact, Swami's non-verbal communication is very, very effective. Very, very effective. And while going, you know what Swami told me? He brushed me with, I think, with his shoulder and said, Sadhana bhaga sagutundira. Your sadhana is going very well. See, whenever God accomplishes with one stroke, He accomplishes a few things, not one objective, He fulfills a few objectives. So 3 things have happened. 1, Swami's omnipresence has been made known to everybody. 2nd, He is confirming to me that you fellow, I know the sadhana which you are doing. 3rd fellow, physically He conveyed to me that yes, your sadhana is going very well. All is well. This is what. The limited point I am bringing to bear is the way in which Swami tells you, proves to you that He is omnipresent. And I can tell you any number of instances about Swami's omnipresence. I think in the society in which we live, it's very easy to get angry with this brother or with that sister. One of the things which Swami has taught me is never ever speak ill of others. And that in a Sai organization or in the wider society is very, very important. I'll just give you one experience of mine relating to that. See, in my younger days, whenever anybody used to speak against Swami, I used to be like a live wire. I used to sort of demolish that chap, whoever that fellow, because, Josh mein aake waise. I was traveling to Puttaparthi. I was traveling from Bombay to Bangalore by flight to go to Puttaparthi. When you sit in the flight, no, it's 1.5 hour flight from Bombay to Bangalore. So by the side of you, somebody was sitting. So you start discussing who are you, what are you, preliminary introductions over. Then that gentleman asked me, sir, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Puttaparthi. So I said, Sai Baba Swami, I'm going there. Before that, I had introduced myself. And he also, I didn't ask about his introduction. Yeah, I told him. Then mind you, I was traveling in business class. It's a bigger seat. So that fellow came out of his seat, put his face in front of my face, and said, so people like you also go to Prashant? People like you also go to Sai Baba? This is what he told me. I got livid. Then I asked him, Bhai, karte kya ho? What do you do? He said, sir, I'm a first generation entrepreneur. Kaun se first generation entrepreneur ho gayi? Sir, I started an IT startup. Very good. Mind you, being in Reserve Bank, even otherwise I read quite a bit, but being in Reserve Bank, I used to read quite a bit. So I asked him as to what are the latest trends in information technology. He could not tell. One thing he told, and that also he trailed into silence, he could not tell. Then I told him, Dekho bhai, you call yourself an entrepreneur, that too a first generation entrepreneur, and you say you have started an IT startup, yet you do not know the fundamental issues relating to IT. You don't know the minimum trends which are in IT. What do you know about Sai Baba, man? Why do you? I said that. So much so, I blasted him so much that he actually put his face that side. He didn't take snacks. Pani bhi nahi piya. Anyway, I got down. Got down into the car. As soon as I got into the car, then there was boxing within my own self. One part of me says, no, this chap doesn't deserve so much of pasting which you give. On the other side, my conscience told me, no, that fellow deserves. How dare he speaks about Swami like this karke. So that boxing was going on. Anyway, reached Puttaparthi. Swami gave a little early darshan and moved inside. So I didn't have darshan. I just went to Prashanti and then taking rest. Next day morning, 5:30, Swami comes in my dream. 5:30, the next day morning, Swami comes in my dream. In Telugu, he asked me, "Evarra nuvu? Who are you?" He asked me. Then and one more thing, mind you, in your dream you understand that this is happening in the context of yesterday's happening. It is very clear, obvious in my dream that this was happening in the context of me having that altercation with the gentleman. Evarra nuvu? He said, I didn't answer. What do you answer, Swami? Then he said, in a much louder and a harsher way, Evarra nuvu? Evarra good now? Who the hell do you think you are? I mean, if I were to use the translate, who do you think you are? I didn't say. Then he told me, and this is a profound thing. Chodra, see, Swami is here. In my dream, Swami is actually telling me with this sort of action. He said, Swami is here, divinity is here. Some people are here, somebody else may be here, you may be here. Everybody is in their respective stations of life because of my will. You understood? He said, Swami is here, divinity is here. Some people are here, you may be here, somebody else may be here, everybody is in their respective stations in life because of my will. In other words, you are nobody to criticize anybody. वो आप बड़ा भक्त है, हम छोटा भक्त है, आप वो है, ये है. No way. This is what has happened in the dream. So I woke up with a wake, then immediately ran to Mandir, after your morning breakfast. I sat in the farthest end of the veranda, upper veranda. Mind you, this is before 2003. 2003, Swami had a fall. Before 2003, this incident happened. Swami was walking, Swami is in Prashantanilaya. So I sat in the farthest corner where, if you know Prashantanilaya Gen Center, to the Bhajan Hall, on the left-hand side there is a door, which is a door exactly opposite the interview room door. So I was sitting on the right-hand side corner of there. Swami came, opened the door. He is a master. From a distance he saw me, yes, this fellow is there. He closed the door. He meandered his way through the top veranda, speaking to a person here, speaking to the other. Then he is about to near me. There is a last pillar. He stood by that pillar. He gave a sweet smile. I know the meaning of that smile. He knows the meaning of that smile. No need for any talk. He comes near me. I was sitting with my legs crossed. He touches my fingers with his leg. And he asked me only one thing. Ardhamainda? Have you understood? Gaya kam se. He need not tell me, I need not tell him. We know what has happened. The point which he is asking me was, you fellow, have you understood what you have been told in the dream? What is the lesson? Don't ever criticize anybody. You are a nobody to criticize anybody. You should not speak ill of others. That is what is it. Chesko, he said. Take Padma-namaskar, he said. I took Padma-namaskar and he walks out. So what is the lesson here? Never ever speak ill of others. And in Sai organizations, unity is the greatest thing. Unity, purity, divinity, Swami has said. We have no right to criticize anybody. Whatever comes our way, do it to the best of our ability and leave it to the Lord. I think these are some of the things. If we start telling Swami's Bhagavatam, there are so many things we can tell for any time or any time. So I think I leave it here, and I request you, in case you have anything to sort of interact or ask, I am at your service.
Anything to ask?
Sir,
we like to know what is the future of the Sai avatars, According to that, Shri Sai is gone and Satya Sai is finished. that everybody is talking that Prema will come one of the days. You don't know it's idea when he will come and take over.
No, sir.
So it's
All that we know is Swami said that in fact to John Hislop, one of the ring which he created, that was the first time when Swami showed the third avatar, Premasai avatar, as to how the face will be. He is somebody, looks like some Jesus Christ, on the lines of Jesus Christ. But coming to your question, when is he going to come, we do not know. Swami's words are absolute law, sir. Since you have asked me that question, only one thing I know, Swami has said that Satsang avatar ke baad, there will be Premasai avatar. In respect of Premasai avatar, two things. One, like in Shirdi avatar, he never told as to how many years afterwards he would come. So Premasai, when he will come, we do not know. But there is one thing which Swami told. He said, golden age will be coming during the Premasai avatar. The golden age will be coming, that's what we know. When it will come, I do not know. I'm sure Swami has not told anybody from whatever we gather. So therefore, Premasai avatar is definitely going to come. The golden period of this world is going to be be there during the course of Premasai avatar. But coming to a specific question as to when Swami is going to come, as Premasai, we won't know. I think nobody knows. So, Sai.
Yeah, your example of not to criticize people. Swami is a good example of that, because there was a program they made in America about Swami. I always remember that people were getting, people throughout the world were getting quite agitated, They said, why do we? It was shown on BBC, and they were saying, why did BBC show it? Why did that reporter went and did all this fake reporting, And I remember Swami just smiled and said, and he didn't say anything. We were all getting excited. People said, I'll write to BBC, I'll do this, I'll do that, And he just smiled, He says, well, let them do what they want to do. I'm not saying anything.
Absolutely.
And that's a good example of not to criticize, but he took everything. He knew, that the best policy is if you don't retaliate, then that's the best sort of way of saying they can do what they like.
Sir, Swami has given in this speech also. He said, I am, as an individual, Swami is the highest level of awareness. He knows everybody is his own, it's his own, my own being is a part of your being. So one is that. Second thing, he said, I am a person who loves everybody, including the persons who abuse me. I love them. The question of me being angry, that's why I said one of the traits of Swami is he never got angry with anybody. The question doesn't arise because at the highest level of awareness, being the avatar himself, he knows everybody is a part of him. He's a part of everybody. It is like this. Swami used to give the famous analogy. If your tongue actually bites if your teeth bites your tongue, will you break your tooth? The analogy which Swami used to give is, you cannot, because that belongs to you, this belongs to you. So the same is the analogy with the person who has criticized Swami. Swami said, no, I have nothing, because I know it for a fact that they are doing out of their ignorance or whatever, but I have nothing to say. That's the ultimate. Absolutely. In fact, Dr. Bhagwantam, I remember in one case, after this particular incident, and then Mr. Karanji also wrote in Brits newspaper, I remember Dr. Bhagwantam speaking, and one of the points he said in that speech is the way in which Swami has reacted to all the criticism. He says, I can only find one parallel in history, that of Jesus Christ. Notwithstanding the fact that Jesus Christ was crucified, the Roman soldiers were actually putting nails all over his body. At the final stages he said, oh Father, forgive them for they don't know what they are doing. That is ultimate. And Swami being the one who he's a master of, Swami in Christmas speeches have told, Jesus Christ himself has said, he showed a sheep and said, my father will come, and what he meant was Baba. So therefore, you are talking of the highest awareness. So it's not for Swami to react, it's for lower level people like you and me to bicker and sort of get along.
I'll ask one question. Yeah, I mean, you're quite experienced in management and also, with the various experiences you had. What is the line between, being assertive and being egotistic?
There's a very fine line of distinction between being egoistic and being assertive. In much the same way, there's a very thin line between high genius and eccentricity. There's a very thin line which differentiates a very high intelligent person from being an eccentric or a sort of off the balance person. In much the same way, to the extent, I think the most important thing is the bhava, is the inner feeling. Let me give you an example, then I'll answer your question. Swami said, put a namaskar to everybody. Right? From the bottom of my heart, God and human being together, I am actually putting a namaskar to you, to the God in you. Namaskar. But he said, to everybody, to a good person or to a bad person, the same namaskar. But the bhavam is different. For a good man, the bhavam should be, please don't leave me. For a bad man or a similar, please don't come near me. So that's what Swami has told. I mean, this is what Swami has told. In much the same way, if you are assertive to the extent with the bhavam to get the thing done, not to really boss over him, but in your inner bhavam, in your innermost feeling, you are convinced of the fact that you are not owning him. He is not your servant. Yet you want to be assertive to the extent to which to get the work done. I think my own limited experience tells me, I was also in Reserve Bank in a position of this thing. You can be assertive, but one thing I want to tell you, I mean, it's a very long story. The people whom I have taken the stringent, most strong action, stringent action possible of the ultimate sense in an organizational this thing. I used to tell them, Dekho bhai, we are very good friends. I have a job to perform. That's why I'm asking you to do this. But mind you, when I was not well, the people who came to my wife can tell, the people against whom I took this most severe action have actually the people who volunteered to be with me in the hospital when I was in ICU. Because I told them, Dekho bhai, in my heart of hearts, I don't have anything against you. I'm in a work situation. I have a job to perform. I have a duty to perform. Once you make that clear, and niyat bolta hai Hindi mein, intention. As long as the intention is not to humiliate that person, but as long as the intention is to get the work done in an assertive fashion and making it transparent. See, one thing, when you are working with a person, he knows, he reads your soul very quickly. One of the greatest things, when you are in an executive position, who are the people who know you most? Your personal secretaries and executive assistants know your soul because they see your soul through. Once they are convinced that this boss is not having anything against me, but he wants to get this work done. And I used to tell them, Dekho bhai, bahar aa jana, saath mein chai piyenge. I have no issue. You may be a peon. I don't have any issues. We'll have a cup of tea with you. No issue. But I have a work to be getting. I mean, I'm an executive. I need to get a work done. So I need, to the extent to which the other person reads, and you yourself internally, as Swami has said, in that namaskaram, bhavam is different. In much the same way, you are being very loud in, you are asking him, anyway, you get this, please do this. As long as it is very clear in your conscience that you are not trying to boss over him except for the limited point of getting the work done, and he coming to know of that, I think that's it. I think the inner bhavam is important. I think so. Ama.
Now, you mentioned before about going to work 5 days and doing service for the other 2 days, and I know Swami says work is worship, and I'm trying to think, there are a lot of people here, a lot of youth as well, who kind of maybe struggle with that balance. There's so many demands with working life. So have you got any experience or any advice on that, if you like?
Yeah, Swami gave an example for that. precisely the point for which somebody like one of our students asked the same question during our college days when we were with Swami. Two things. When I said that perhaps I am not spiritually that elevated to know that Reserve Bank work is also Swami's work. In a fundamental sense, all work is Swami's work. All work is God's work. The analogy given by Swami is, if you take water in your hand, in your palm, you can experiment for yourself. You take water in your palm, right? When you take water in your palm, the sky is reflected there. That is Param. Param means that is spirituality, that is God. But from the corner of your eye, you can see the earth. When you are looking at an argyam, when you take water in your palm and look at that, while you are looking at the sky, you are simultaneously looking at from the corner of your eyes to the earth. So what Swami says is, while doing that work, you should also be able to look at spirituality. In other words, if all work is my work, that is where you need to do. And in fact, there is a very recent, only 2 days back in WhatsApp, I got a message about meditation. All work should be meditation. Somebody asked Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, a small boy comes and asks Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, what is meditation? It seems in that example, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa tells that boy, he gives him a thing to eat, dosa to eat, and he says, you go on eating that dosa, right? Go on eat, you should not leave that dosa. But you should continuously look at me and wait for my hand signal to stop eating. He starts eating, he almost completes it. At one point of time he says stop, that boy stops. Then it seems Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, what you have just now done is meditation. While you are doing the act of eating, you have constantly kept your gaze on me, looking at me as to when I will give the signal. He said, that is meditation. This is what Swami also has told. He has given a beautiful example of Gopikas. Gopikas, when they were going to fetch that milk or that water, with the pitchers on top, one above the other, 4 or 5 pitchers, starting from the bigger one to the smallest one on top, though they were actually carrying the milk or the water from the Yamuna or from their cows, all along their thoughts were with the young kid who was there in their house. Their infants who were there in their house. All along they were thinking of the infant in their house while they were doing that particular activity. In much the same way as this boy, while eating dosa, was constantly eating but looking at this thing. So coming to your question, it will take some time, it will take some sadhana to realize that when you say that everything, I gave the example of a white sheet of paper. Entire thing is a stream of consciousness. When Swami says universal consciousness, the entire thing is divinity only. These are all protrusions. Once you come to that realization that there is no work other than God's work, and when the true analogies you remember, while doing this, while looking at the sky, which is spirituality, God, you can also look from the corner of your eye, the earth, which is basically your own mundane work. Like the Gopikas, like this boy. So it takes some time. Once you have that sadhana that every work is Swami's work, perhaps coming to your point, I should have derived the same satisfaction in that 5-day labor of wages as in this 2 days labor of love. But then I think Kahavata management, excellence is a journey, not a destination. So we are all in the progressive evolution of a thought process, I suppose. Yes, sir. I think if there is nothing, all that I would say is we are very happy to be here with you, and may Swami bless all of you. Let this center grow in strength, and as I told you, the bedrock of all activity, a Samiti activity or a service center activity, a Sai center activity, is our own personal sadhana. I'm sure Swami will guide us as we go about it. And I think in case nobody has anything, I take leave of you. Sai Ram.